There are some alternatives to choline. So this project, we were looking at a choline alternative. It's a phytoactive. It's got many other anti-inflammatory properties that you aren't getting with a traditional choline chloride that's used in typical laying hen diets. It's multi-targeted and multivalented, and it helps support the liver and has antibacterial properties.
Welcome to the Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt Podcast, brought to you by Wisenetics. I'm Doug Corver, a co-host of the show and nutritionist at Alpine Poultry Nutrition. Thanks for joining us today as we discuss the latest in poultry nutrition research and industry trends. Our guest today is Bethany Alexander, who is a graduate student at Virginia Tech. Welcome to the Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt.
Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah. So your research that we're going to talk about today is looking at choline nutrition in laying hens. What can you tell us about the function of choline in poultry?
So choline in poultry is very important. It's got three main modes of action. It is oxidized to betaine. Its main mode of action is being phosphorylated into phosphatidylcholine, and it also gets transferred into acetylcholine as well.
Okay. So why is it important for laying hens?
For laying hens, choline is very important in fat metabolism, and an issue that many laying hens have because we feed a high energy diet to keep them productive through their long life cycle is fatty liver. And choline aids in that fat transfer to keep the fat from settling in the liver and causing fatty liver hemorrhagic syndrome.
Okay. So in the laying hen, why is liver health so important?
So the liver serves as a primary high-demand metabolic hub for egg production and fat transport. So getting the fat out of the liver and into, energy use or into the egg yolk for egg production is important.
At Barnes, we're more than just another feed additive company. We are driven by science, innovation, and an understanding of the challenges you face in the ever-changing world of animal agriculture. We are your trusted partner for new-to-market natural alternative to choline chloride, Choline Plus FC, as well as enzymes, prebiotics, probiotics, macro minerals. To learn more about our product offering, visit barnes-ne.com/animal nutrition. Together, there's always a better solution.
So you mentioned choline in the diet. Are there alternatives to choline that producers can use?
Yes, there are some alternatives to choline. So this project, we were looking at a choline alternative. It's a phytoactive. It's got many other anti-inflammatory properties that you aren't getting with a traditional choline chloride that's used in typical laying hen diets. It's multi-targeted and multivalented, and it helps support the liver and has antibacterial properties.
So did you look at just that phytoactive product, or are there other alternatives to choline as well that either you looked at or that are out there?
So there are some other natural alternatives, but this project mainly focused on this phytoactive.
Okay. So what are some of the key findings of your research?
So for this project, we had 4 different diets. We had a control group that had no additional choline supplementation. We had our first experimental group, which had a full dose of the typical choline chloride that you would see in a laying hen diet. We had a 1/3 dose of our natural choline alternative, and then we had a 1/4 dose of our natural choline alternative. So there weren't any significant differences in the performance data. However, the 1/4 dose of our natural choline alternative did show an increased numeric difference in hen day egg production and egg mass, and it did have an improved FCR. And for internal egg quality, there were also no, super notable statistical differences. But again, with the 1/4 dose of our natural choline alternative, there was a numerical increase in relative shell weight and eggshell thickness.
Okay. How old were the birds in your study?
So these birds started at 60 weeks, and we had a 12-week study, so we ended the trial at 72 weeks of age.
Okay. Do you think that you would have seen an effect over a long, significant effects if you had run the experiment for a longer period of time, especially as the birds get older and older?
I think it's possible that we could have seen more effects. I think one thing that I would have changed is our basal diet. So our control diet did have a, pretty high level of choline in it, even without additional choline chloride. So I think we would have seen more significant differences if that control had less of a, inclusion of choline.
So you mentioned you measured performance and some egg quality traits. Were there other things that you looked at as well?
We also looked at fatty liver using liver scores and liver fat content. However, there were no, significant or numerical differences across the treatments.
Okay. So, research is always limited by time and money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had the opportunity, are there things that you would like to add to that, or maybe things that you would do a little bit differently? You mentioned maybe changing the basal diet.
Yeah, I think I would like to add a liver histology section and look, at the cellular level, what they're seeing, because, even if there's not a super high deposition of fat in the liver, I feel like even a little change in fat content could have a significant difference in egg production over a long term.
Mm-hmm. So based on your findings, what would you recommend to producers?
So based on my findings, I honestly would say that more research needs to be done before I could say anything conclusive. Although this natural choline alternative does have other benefits, I would like more research to be done before I say, go for the natural, or now stick with the natural choline chloride.
Okay. So Bethany, that sounds really interesting. Do you have plans to publish this? Or are you going to be presenting this at scientific meetings?
Yes. So we will hopefully be publishing this manuscript soon, and we'll also be presenting this data at the World Poultry Congress in Canada.
Oh, great. Looking forward to that.
Yes, me too.
Well, Bethany Alexander, thank you so much for joining us today on the Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
That concludes another episode of the Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt Podcast, presented by Wisenetics. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform to stay updated on future episodes. I'm Doug Corver, and I'll see you next time on the Poultry Nutrition Blackbelt Podcast.